Yo, 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 what is up, YouTube? Playing some Fenrir today for you guys, and hopefully, I'm going to be able to show you guys this character is still strong. I almost never see him get picked these days. I think I've played like 200, 300 games this split, and I've went against maybe like 2 Fenrirs, maybe 3. Character just, he kind of got nerfed a little bit, and then everyone stopped playing him. Not everyone, there are a couple people that come to my streams and stuff and talk about how they still enjoy a bit of Fenrir, but yeah, I don't really see him played that much, and he is a strong character. He really is. I think he'll always be a relatively strong character in my opinion. He's just got a good kit, and he does a lot of burst damage. And he has like, I don't know, he doesn't have like overwhelming CC, but it's good enough where like late game you can jump on somebody, Hydras proc them, ult them, Hydras proc them 3, blah, blah, blah. And basically, like, if you get crits, you can CC them just enough to where, like, you half health them before the fight even starts. Like, assuming they don't have beads, right? And even if they do have beads, you still do a lot of damage. Now, this isn't a preferred matchup that I would have wanted, per se, for the first game. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that means I'll show you guys a competitive game. But this guy had a GM dual border, and he's playing surtr, which, if you're playing Fenrir, I think... You know, everybody's got their preferences, right? But I think that if you're playing Fenrir, you would prefer to go against a squishier target that you can one-shot really quickly, like a hunter or a mage, or maybe even another assassin. Basically anything but warriors. You might have noticed that I actually banned Osiris. Not because Fenrir can't beat Osiris, but realistically he shouldn't be able to. And Osiris is just a little bit too tanky to like kill quickly, which you really want to as an assassin. Now, before we all start assuming, so does that mean Fenrir has to kill his target quickly or else he loses? No, not necessarily. It's just a lot more fun and looks a lot more clean for YouTube to kill them quickly and whatnot. But here we are. We're against oh, it's a meditation Hydra's Rush surtr. I don't know how I feel about that. Usually when people don't go beads versus Fenrir, it's kind of troll because they're either just bad or they have a plan to never go near the tower and never get ulted into the tower. But oftentimes, and I'm speaking for myself as well, because I do it sometimes as well. Oftentimes when people plan to like never go near the tower or always use their CC immune ult on the Fenrir ult, etc., they usually mess up at least once. So we'll see. I don't know if I should be leveling my 3 in this matchup. Typically, the way you look at it is whether they can cancel it or not. And surtr can cancel the 3, but the thing about it that I'm a little bit curious about is most surtrs kind of lead with their 3. They start the fight with it, typically. Also, I just realized that actually, never mind. That was an accident. It was a mistake, but I think it's good, actually. I ended up starting at a different start than I normally do these days on Fenrir or in characters like Fenrir. Ooh. I went to Transcendence start, which I will be going Transcendence. And the reason why I said it was a mistake, but it's fine, is because I usually like to go Jotun's Rush on him, because I'm just trying to pub stomp the early game, and I'm trying to, and you don't really need Transcendence to kill people late game, like you do plenty of damage. But in this one, I'm not really trying to pub stomp early, because surtr actually has more pressure early game than I do. So I'm not trying to pub stomp early, and I may actually need as much damage as I possibly can afford to get against a surtr late game, because the character is insane and is super tanky late game. He gets like a ton of prots and healing from his passive. So it was a mistake. I meant to rush Jotuns and not go Transcendence at all at any point in the build, but I think it works out just fine. One thing I will say about surtr, you know, given the fact that he's so tanky and all that other whatnot, even if he doesn't ult my ult and comes into the tower, one thing I will say about that is he can probably just ult and still get away regardless, even inside the tower, because I can't really like body block him in it and keep him in it forever, right? Let's see what we can do here a little bit. Maybe this is troll, but I'm interested to see how much damage we can do. We're horrificing him. Alright, he's ulting out, so we're just going to clear. Wait, he was like stuck in the ground there. Did you see that? What the heck? Now, if I can get him with an ult here. Oh. Alright, we ulted his stun, which is good because he needs that stun for our brutalize. Kind of just kill him for free. So So yeah, interesting for sure. I think he could have played that a little bit differently. Slash, I don't think he really needs to have med. Like, he could have just had beads and it would have made that fight a lot more sketchy. I wouldn't have been able to kill him there at the end. But I'll admit I was a little bit more afraid of his early game than I should have been. Granted, he's not really like canceling my brutalize. That's a big problem. I think he should just hold his ability for the brutalize, to be fair. But that being said, oh wow, he actually gave that to us. I'm pretty sure we were losing. We just had a lot of burst damage there with the brutalize and it kind of scared him. But we were definitely losing that overall. Interesting situation, to say the least. But the reason why Transcendence is so good late game is because, especially against like a beefy boy like this, is because this gives a lot of power. And as like a little side note, it also gives some pen as well. So a lot of power, infinite mana, and pen. Yeah, that sounds pretty good versus a tank. Now, spoiler alert on the build here. What is Transcendence replacing in this build? Which, you know, I'm assuming I'm going to give you guys multiple games to show you my normal build, by the way. I probably will not be going Transcendence in any other games in this, unless I go against like a super tanky warrior again. Which then, in case, you know, you can still do the normal build, but Transcendence is definitely valuable versus these super tanky targets. But Transcendence in this build is probably going to replace a crit item. Probably going to replace Boomerang, which, again, spoiler alert. My normal build consists of Boomerang and Deathbringer, just like some other builds I've shown you guys recently. I think those items are just very strong right now. There's not like a lot of outlier items in Smite right now. A lot of the builds pretty similar. I mean, that's kind of how Smite always has been, but you know, goes how it goes. There's just not like, it's not like there's not a lot of viable things you can go. You can. It's just there's very clearly items that are just better than the rest. So you kind of try to apply those as much as you can. Alright, so I kind of like wasted my horrific a little bit there. Used it a little bit preemptively. A little overzealous. Also, I did end up taking a tower shot, which is a little bit weird. But it was kind of like interesting because I think he's finally learned to hold his stun for my brutalize. But the problem with that is he didn't go, like, his build is just bad, like, to be honest with you. He didn't really go like an auto attack build. Like, he didn't go a berserker shield like I did. So what does that mean? It means I'm actually going to go beads so I can brutalize through his stun, or even if it's not the brutalize, I can just keep autoing when he stuns me, etc. But the problem with this is if he holds his stun, he can't win the fight, I think, because first of all, I'm ahead, but he can't win the fight because I'm going more of an auto attack slash just general build, and he's going like this ability based like Hydra's does not outtrade Transcendence, by the way, in the actual auto attack battle, like the long extended auto attack battle. Especially when my Transcendence is stacked. Oh, that regrowth actually went crazy there. And there's no way Breastplate of Regrowth outtrades Berserker Shield, for example, right? So given the fact that I have a lead on top of that, kind of just makes this really simple. If he holds his stun, then I'll just win the auto attack trade, essentially. Alright, so he beats his stun there, trying to get pressure. Probably end up jumping on him here. Alright, so we canceled our brutalize after the second tick. We canceled it a little bit early, so we could you know, start our ultimate and immune his stun. That was a fight where he actually chose to stun our brutalize twice, and we immuned it twice. Now, granted, the second time we actually had to cancel our brutalize to do it, but getting our full brutalize damage off wasn't really that important. The main thing was just not getting stunned and not allowing him to get out, right? And just to be clear, like full disclosure again, I didn't mean to buy Transcendence, but what I will say is I think the theory of Transcendence versus these super tanky targets is still good, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say that like I definitely did not need Transcendence versus this guy. I could have just went the normal Jotun's build because he's building out of his mind and not really playing all that well, right? Which is no surprise in Duel. Honestly, going against a good player in Duel, even if you're 3500 MMR capped, queuing at a normal time, getting a good, going versus a good player in Duel is kind of like a rare situation these days. It is what it is. So honestly, playing for the early game and not going Transcendence is probably just overall more consistent as well in this current meta. But what I will say is, if you're one of those players who admittedly aren't the best, right? You're trying to learn, you're trying to rank up, etc. Then maybe you do just go the Transcendence because it's more consistent. It's like Transcendence is more consistent at winning late game. Jotuns is more consistent at pub stomping early game. The only thing like that's a little bit, I don't know, counterintuitive with the Transcendence and as far as like lower tier players is concerned. I'm just gonna ult and see what he does. He does beads it. One thing I will say about the Transcendence for lower tier players is maybe you should just go Jotuns because, you know, it's gonna take you a little while to stack the Transcendence, and maybe I should just recommend that you guys pick the thing that's going to make you strongest at all stages of the game. Also, rushing Jotuns gives you a ton of cooldown in the early game. You'll notice we're 10 minutes in, and I still have 0 cooldown, right? That's one of the problems with this build in particular. But I think it's good though, like mistake or not, I think it's good that I am showing off this build. Even though I shouldn't even say build, because it's only one item difference. It really is just one item, but it changes your entire build path, I would say. Because it makes it to where you don't get your cooldown online until like super late, right? I could have went third item Hydras, but wouldn't have made a huge difference either. The main thing is when you get Jotuns, right? Like what I'm doing right now is like a Gilgamesh build. When normally I on Fenrir, for example, I would actually just go Jotuns first and not build like Gilgamesh. I would just rush cooldown because cooldowns are more important for an assassin like Fenrir, an ability-based assassin, rather than whatever you want to call Gilgamesh, because he's a little bit of both. He's like a hybrid warrior, for example. Fenrir has more damage in his kit that he can get. Yeah, that's actually a good explanation. That's what I should say. Is Fenrir has more damage in his kit than Gilgamesh, so Gilgamesh needs the Transcendence damage a little bit more, I would say. I haven't really used this Bull Demon very much because I've kind of just been yapping away. But it's not a big deal overall. I think it's perfectly fine because we are just kind of snowballing. We are securing all the farm on the map. Oh, we can get this thing down. Maybe. Okay, we got it. Alright, he's ulting. We have a beads for his knockup if we need to. I'm kind of just waiting for my jump to come up though. Alright. I think we just go over this wall. He might come over here and try to gank us. That's no big deal though, because we just bursted that thing down. No problem. Alright, so now we're going to work on our Jotuns. We could go straight into a Deathbringer. By the way, Deathbringer is a staple item for Fenrir that I do pretty much every game. The only thing that's bad about Deathbringer, if you're not interested in it, one thing I will say that's bad is it's terribly expensive. Like, it's super expensive. But other than that, it's a pretty perfect item for Fenrir. Like, you always go Hydras, you always go Deathbringer. In my opinion, it's too good to pass up on. The only thing that sucks about single crit Deathbringer though is, you know, the obvious RNG element. When you jump in and you use all your abilities and you try to Hydras proc with it, if you don't get any crits, well then that sucks, right? It's not very good. But when you do get crits, or you get extra lucky and you get multiple crits, they actually just disintegrate before your eyes. So again, just to be clear, for those who aren't paying attention, I normally go double crit on Fenrir. Double crit, but Transcendence is replacing my double crit this game. Make sure to use our Hydras proc. Probably gonna... Oh, I didn't even know he was turning around to stun there. I actually didn't even see the animation. And he's dead because he tried to ult in place when I have a jump and a Hydras proc. Oh, wait, I can go in here and disable the Phoenix actually. I'm trying to get my archers in here, but they're kind of like being stubborn, man. They don't want to come in because, you know, there's like enemies in front of them and whatnot. We're actually going to walk back into the Titan room, which is a little bit dumb because we reset the Titan. Wait, I was so confused. Oh, I realized what happened now. Okay, okay, I realized what happened now. I was actually just backing there, waiting for him to, like, you know, put the circle above me. But the reason why it didn't happen is because there's a wall. There's like an invisible wall up here that affects like gods like Apollo and gods like Surtr that fly into the air. So he tried to fly straight over top of me like I thought he was going to, like really quickly. But he got blocked by the wall and he had to go all the way around, and that's what slowed him down so much. That is too funny, man. It's too freaking funny. I really think it's stupid though. Like, you know, jokes aside, I really do think it's kind of stupid that can happen. Like especially for like Apollo, you know, you're just trying to fly places, bro, and you get cucked. All right, we got ourselves a meteor. He does have the red buff, so that makes this fight a lot more fair. Although it's kind of hard to call any situation like this fair. Where is he? Oh, by the way, I should mention, like, the reason why I level the way I level. You always level the 3 or the jump. Some people used to put points in the 2, and sometimes I put points in the 2 over the ult. Even though the ult does scale really well with damage, by the way. Here, I'll talk about that some more here in a moment. Hydrus procs, make sure you're always popping your Hydrus procs in between abilities. So basically, with the Hydrus proc, for people that may be actually just newer to Smite in general, you buy Hydras, which is something that like basically gives you more damage on your next auto attack after using an ability. So you jump in, auto, 2 auto, 3 auto, or you can 3 first and 2 first, whatever. It doesn't matter the order necessarily. The main thing is just after each ability, you weave an auto attack in. Even your ult, you ult, you drop them, you insta auto them, and it does like a ton of damage to them, especially when you have crit. Yeah, GG. Yeah. I mean, like, I've talked about this in previous videos, but this is one of the reasons why I'm considering playing on my alt account, is because of stuff like this, which I might do in future videos when I get it ranked up. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm going to skip you guys into the next game where I actually build a bit differently, a much cheaper, maybe not much cheaper actually, but we are going to go a slightly cheaper and a more early game rush build that gets us cooldown reduction. Again, it's not an entirely different build. It's just replacing Transcendence early game with Jotuns, and which you would go Jotuns even if you go Transcendence as I just showed you, right? But the difference is we get Jotuns early game, we get Hydras early game, we get a ton of CDR, and we end up going double crit. Boomerang replaces the Transcendence. So hopefully I can show you guys a good example of that in the next game. Thank you so much for watching. Alright guys, we're off into the second game. My microphone was muted the first time I tried to record, so that's why I didn't show you guys picks and bans. I banned pretty much the same things though, like literally the same things. I think I even banned Osiris again. I don't want to go Transcendence. I'm so used to going down that tree, man, from spamming Gilgamesh every single day. Okay, so we want Horrific, and we want... I think we go this Wing Shard because we really want to, like, if we can catch her in the jungle and she tries to 1v1 us. I literally just put up a Medusa video yesterday. So, you know, if you guys watch that, you know how much damage Medusa can do in the early game. But Fenrir can actually do a ton early game as well. And if he messes up his, like, relics or itemization, like if he doesn't go Horrific, for example, and he has beads... A lot of people like to go beads versus Fenrir, and I need to get it back. A lot of people like to go beads versus him, so if they go beads and we have a Horrific, he does have beads, just like I thought he would. We're saving our Brutalize for when he dashes away. He did not dash away. Yep, just as I expected. Basically, we started the fight on him. We got on top of him really early in the fight, and then we popped our Wing Shard and our Horrific. Now, granted, he did dash into us, but our plan was so secure that even if he tried to dash away, like the reason we didn't brutalize the dash is because I didn't expect him to dash that early. I didn't expect him to dash that early because, well, as you just saw, he's going to get his dash caught if he does that, right? So... bit of an interesting one, but what I'm getting at here is I would have ended up, like, if he got around me to dash, if he got fully around me where I wouldn't have blocked it, I would have just brutalized towards him and ended up killing him regardless. So while he did misplay there, that's not necessarily the reason why he died. The reason why he died is because we just had a concise plan, and also he decided to fight us. You can't really fight into us when you have these. Like, Golden Shard is a farm relic, not a fight one. Wing Shard is a fight one, right? So I have a fight shard, and I have a fight relic, and you have defensive / farm relics and shards, and our characters are somewhat close to even. Level 3. I do think Medusa has a stronger level 3. She has more damage, but it's still close. It's a close matchup, and she did not have the relics and the shard like we did. So, dink, dink, dink. Alright, we jumped on her. We got her beads. That's good work. We're gonna back up here. We are gonna end up missing farm. Kind of an is what it is situation. Not much we can do about that. We are a melee character that doesn't have the most obvious ways to clear the wave. Doesn't have the best ways to clear, right? I really don't want him to get that rock. It doesn't look like he's on it though, which is great for us. I really don't know why he's not on it. I guess he backed. I don't know. Very interesting for him to give that to us. He has no beads right now. We have a full Jotuns, which is great for us. I don't really know why he's fighting into us. One thing I will say that might happen this game, I'm either going to throw a kill because I like hop off or something, or we're going to die because I'm testing it. But one thing I'm thinking about is I actually don't know the interaction between Medusa ult and Brutalize. Meaning, if I'm brutalizing her, do I just get hit by the stun from the ult because my character's looking at her, or can I brutalize? I just have to look away, like with my camera. But like, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like how it works is I'm gonna get stunned regardless of whether I'm looking away or not because of where my character is looking because of the brutalize. So I think I have to cancel my brutalize when she's ulting. I think. But I'm not entirely sure about that. And I like I said, I feel like we're going to have a fight where I'm going to get punished by that. I'm either going to cancel when I didn't need to and drop the kill, or I'm going to not cancel when I needed to, and I'm going to, I feel like she doesn't have beads up right now. Yeah, we're missing a lot of farm to the tower, a lot of gold to the tower. Not a huge deal, but worth mentioning. I think I just caught her dash. Okay, well, that was a pretty safe time to figure that out. We now know that the Brutalize will get stunned every single time by her ults. It is a pretty free kill there. We went on her because basically if we get the Brutalize on her, she's gonna die every time. Whether it's to auto attacks or it's to my ult, or one way or another, she's gonna die because she has no ult to get me to stop my Brutalize or to stun my Brutalize. And the Brutalize is maxed out now. It does 1 billion damage. Something I should have talked about a little bit more in depth earlier in the video, but whatever. Better late than never. You max Brutalize unless it's a bad game for it. Like they have a CC that they can reliably use. But like against surtr, for example, he had a CC, but the way I felt about him was essentially I'll just wait until he uses it. / it does take him a second to actually use it, so I can get a couple Brutalize ticks off. But in most matchups, even surtr was a little bit questionable. In most matchups that your Brutalize isn't a consistent DPS ability, you just level to 1. I used to level the 3 on Fenrir a lot, or the 2. I should say, I almost never leveled the 1 at all. I would always level the 2 over it. I'd do 3 too. Sometimes I even saw people leveling the 2 first. And that was because it was a much better ability back then. It had a lot more power. Now it only goes up by 10 power per level, which isn't like terrible. It's really not terrible, but when you look at his other abilities and you look at the scaling of them per level, it's actually a lot. Like I'm pretty sure this is like the 1 goes up by 60 damage per, and then the Brutalize goes up by 30, which times 4, that's 120. So, and then the ult goes up by 75. These are pretty high numbers for those who aren't familiar with it. These are relatively high numbers of going up in damage per ability. Like they're either high / above average. Like they're not low. That's what I'm trying to say. So you pretty much level everything besides the 2. The 2 does not go up in lifesteal or anything of that nature anymore. I'm pretty sure it used to, I think. I don't level the ult over the jump. The jump is more consistent damage, but you can level the ult 3rd or 4th, depending on what you value more, 10 power or 70, is it 75 damage? Yeah, 75 damage on the ult. Obviously, there's that argument of the ult isn't always up, right? It's a long cooldown, right? So that's why some people choose not to level the ult, but it does do pretty good damage. Alright, we have so much cooldown reduction that, and Fenrir actually gets reduced cooldowns on his 1 if he lands it on an enemy god by 30%. So between the fact that we have 20% cooldown and if I actually land my jump on her, it's not a super long cooldown, which is great for us. Oh, we actually got her dash there, I think. Oh. Yeah, I'm just instinctually looking away. I'm not actually canceling my ability. Now, she does have beads still, I think, right? We have to keep that in mind. We're just kind of jumping off cooldown, seeing what we can get. She's running out of mana, I'm running out of mana. Alright, so we are taking a lot of damage, but we did clear the wave while also hitting him. One really powerful thing about the Brutalize. Leveling the Brutalize makes your wave clear a little bit less consistent, but there are some situations where if you're tanky enough, you can actually just kind of just hit them and clear. Oh, okay, I'll be honest. That was super risky. I did not need to take that risk. I kind of thought my mana would come up a little bit faster. I'm used to having more mana regen, but it's okay. It's not a problem. We're gonna go Thorns versus a Medusa for sure. This is the moment where I decide whether I want to level my 2 or my ult more. I think I'm gonna put a couple points in the ult at least, but then I might max out the 2. I'm not sure. We'll see. Oh, and on the topic that I mentioned earlier about whether Fenrir is like bad against targets that live for a long time. I mean, he is pretty good at just getting in and getting out. Like even if you mess up the jump or whatever, he's pretty good at just baiting relics and stuff like that. So we got his beads. If he comes back up, we'll jump again. We're basically just trying to be, you know, as aggressive as possible without dying. That's what we're trying to achieve here, is just be as aggro as humanly possible without dying. See, like right now my ult's down, and I kind of just want to fight 24/7, so I'm actually going to put a point in my 2. For the extra power. You know, we have no runes to jump stun him, although he doesn't have any relics whatsoever, and I do have a thorn, so I think this fight's actually pretty simple for us. Pretty simple fight. I don't know why he's pushing up when he has no relics. The main reason why I thought we could kill him is because, well, we have red buff and we have relics. But as it turns out, it was more simple than I thought it was, and we actually didn't even need to use relics. It was smart for him to not turn around and fight, even though he did end up dying regardless. It was still smart for him to not turn around and fight because, as you can see, I had a Thorns ready for him. I had a Horrific ready for him. Like, there was no way. A little bit greedy using both of my mobility thingies right there, but should be okay. He is going to get the scepter. Not a huge deal though. I'm going to buy a proximity ward, although it's kind of overkill at this point because we're like pub stomping really hard, but no big deal. The reason why we're going at Thorns, by the way, is because Medusa is one of those characters that really wants to stand her ground and punish you for jumping in. But, and also because of the character I'm playing, Fenrir doesn't really need Blink to go in. You can go Blink, it's not like it's terrible, but Fenrir just does not need Blink. I did not expect him to do that. I should have expected him to do that, though, because it's a classic dual player play that I'm usually pretty good about calling, but the classic, oh, I'm losing the game, so I'm gonna go try to sneak Bull Demon play is what it is. No big deal. Kind of annoying, but is what it is. So we're clearing the wave. He did end up giving up his blue for it, which is definitely worth it for him, but it's worth noting that we stole a little bit of farm off the map. I think we're going to buy this, and then we're going to go into the crit tree here. Now, this build has a lot less mana, like I mentioned earlier, but one thing I will say is between the passive of, Hydra's has a mana passive, or an MP5 passive, I should say, and has decent mana on it, so it does help you out a lot. That's part of the reason why we get Hydra's third instead of serrated third. But there are some matchups where you can go serrated third first, or serrated before Hydra's, and it would be perfectly fine. In fact, serrated is just a better item than Hydra's. We just like the cooldown rush, and we like the mana sustain, since this build pretty much lacks it, right? We got 200 mana here, 150 mana here, and then the Hydra's passive gives you MP5 as you get lower on mana. Right now we're just waiting for her to leave her base, which she did actually end up leaving, which is great. I don't know why he's dashing when I'm literally... Yeah, I don't know what the point is of... Like, no offense to this guy, but I'm just at a loss. I don't understand what the point is of getting Bull Demon and AFKing into your Phoenix just to come out like 1 minute later and then give me your Phoenix. I don't really understand. At least I think that's Phoenix. I could have ran straight there with the Bull Demon. I'm not really sure, but I think I'm going to end up jumping on this wave and then just hitting this bad boy. Yeah, it should be Phoenix. We do 1,000,000 damage to it after all. I think she dashed, right? We're gonna pop our Thorns and our Horrific, and he's just dead because he dashed out of the base and he didn't realize that we have these really OP relics. I don't blame him too much on not realizing this because we didn't really utilize them that much the entire game. I think we popped our Horrific maybe like 1 time the entire game besides that, and that was our first time using Thorns, so can't really blame him too much. But yeah, and I don't know if I finished explaining why we go Thorns. It's because basically the only other thing we would go is Blink, and like I said, Fenrir doesn't need Blink. What he needs is something that is impactful once he gets in, and Horrific Thorns is an amazing combo. Popping Thorns when you go to Brutalize, or just in general, is very, very strong. Appreciate you guys clicking and watching. I didn't even end up getting my crit online this game, which sucks, but I'm going to queue up for at least 1 more, if not 2 more. I usually try to make these videos, you know, not always, right? But generally speaking, I try to get like 3 to 4 games, depending on which type of video it is. So I'll queue up for at least 1 or 2 more, and I'll skip you guys into the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. All right, guys, we're off into the 3rd game. Sorry, I had to mute there for a second because, you know, a classic, another UFO went by my house. We are against the Core W, the toxic guy who reports you after each game. Very interesting matchup here. You know, a GM player, even though I regret to say, I regret to call this guy a GM player because kind of like a little rat, but you know, whatever. He just like pretty much cusses out everybody that beats him, and sometimes even people that he beats, he cusses them out in Spanish and then reports them after every single game. Very, very strange human being, to say the least. This is a pretty close matchup as well. I would say overall this matchup favors Fenrir because for the simple fact that Fenrir just has good CC and Nemesis doesn't. But like I said, interesting matchup to say the least. We hit him with an auto attack. Okay. We're gonna Horrific him here and pop our Wing Shard. Yeah, okay, I'll be honest, I don't really know what he's doing. Like I said, he's a GM player, but like, nobody ever actually said he was good at the game. And I normally try not to be too toxic to people on the YouTube channel and stuff, because, I mean, I honestly just don't feel the need to be honest. I'm just a lot more like at peace when I record versus like when I'm streaming and stuff, and I get really irritated pretty easily. So it's partially because I just don't really feel the need to, but also because, I don't know, it's just more positive environment, I suppose, and that's the way I like it to be. But against this guy in particular, he probably is, it's either him or Diego, to be honest. It's probably the most hated person in Duel, at least from my perspective. No one has ever had any kind words to say about this guy whatsoever. He's kind of just a detriment. to the Duel community. And I think that's the way he likes it too, you know. I think he enjoys being a jerk, goes how it goes, whatever. And more power to him, whatever. But my point is like I don't really feel bad at all. I don't really feel bad making fun of this guy at all, because he's kind of just done it to himself. I don't know. I feel like I've been reported by him at least like 30 times, if not more. Actually, it might actually be more at this point. But we do have our Jotuns complete. We do have a Chalice complete, which is feeling good, feeling real good for us. I think we might just reset, honestly, for our mana back. Probably didn't need to reset there, but we get a little bit of mana back and we get a health chalice. 1 health chalice restored, right? Not really much to stay and fight for. The only thing we really lose by backing is now he has wave clear pressure, and so he gets to go to that meteor before us if he chooses to, which it looks like he's not. Alright, so we opted to try to poke him a little bit there. Didn't really favor us, to say the least, but because I wasn't really actually trying to get that much poke on him. I was more or less just trying to stop his back and keep him around, because I want to be I think I can send this guy into the tower here, and if he dashes first, that would be even better. Doesn't look like he's allowing us to, though. Alright, I'll admit that I kind of trolled. I could have just got the rock for free if he backed, but instead I stayed like an idiot and stopped his back for no apparent reason. Maybe if I brutalized him, but I feel like he would have just shielded and probably out-traded us, so. And now he has the rock. So, I trolled. I definitely trolled. But it's kind of hard not to, I feel like. I mean, this is just the cope, right? But I feel like it's kind of hard to not troll sometimes in these situations where, like, you guys saw how he played that first engagement, right? Like, you guys saw that. Like, how am I supposed to take this guy seriously? The blink nemesis who just inted and killed himself before the minions even got there. Interesting situation, to say the least. Again, he still does not have beads, of course. So if he comes near this tower, we can punish him. But he did kind of insta-clear the wave. And he has the scepter, so not that easy to stand next to him and fight. In fact, if we can help it, we want to stand away from him, actually, because he will kind of own us with that scepter. Alright, hopefully, like, I want him to chase us next to the tower one of these times. Like, it's a weird play because alright, so I griefed my ultimate a little bit there, but I opted to take a chance because I didn't know when his shield cooldown was coming back up. I opted to take a chance and cancel my ult and then brutalize into tower because I knew for a fact it would kill him, with the one exception of if he has a shield up. Didn't know if he had it up or not, but I felt like he would have played slightly more confidently if he did. Maybe, maybe not. And it looked like he was just petrified of us, so went for the play. The Nim shield is a pretty long cooldown, I think. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's got to be lower than Brutalize, right? Or higher than Brutalize, rather. Oh, and by the way, just worth mentioning, I will say this again at the end of the video, as per usual, when I explain my builds and stuff. You can go Breastplate on Fenrir if you want. You don't have to go Berserker Shield, because as you can obviously tell, I'm not really building an auto-attack build. I just like a little bit of auto-attack because it helps you auto-cancel, and it makes you, it just feels like the autos are more clean and stuff. I like a little bit of attack speed, but also just because I think just stat for stat, Berserker Shield is just a better item than Breastplate. Like, straight up, I just think it has better stats overall. So that's the main reason why we like to... Well, not the... Actually, that's not the... It's like half the reason. Half the reason is because Berserkers is just a better item than Breastplate, but also because Hydras and Jotuns are so good, and we like those items, so we think they just have better stats and are cheaper than the alternatives, right? For cooldown and whatnot. So, I said the Breastplate. But basically I'm just buying items that I think stat for stat are better than the alternatives, right? And I think Jotuns is one of the best CDR items. It's incredibly cheap. I think Hydras is incredibly good. And if you go Jotuns Hydras, you have 30% cooldown, right? So you don't really need the Breastplate cooldown for that reason. And I think Berserkers is better than Breastplate, so... Again, I'll explain this a little bit more later on, but that's kind of like the brief summary. I mean, that is kind of like the entire thing, but I'll have more to say about it later, I suppose. I'll just make some stuff up. Just jibber jabber. We definitely want to secure this. He doesn't have beads, so he actually can't contest this at all. Because if I really wanted to, I could just ult him off of it. Yeah, you don't win this trade, big bro. I think he was looking to blink there. Yeah, the maxed out brutalize does big damage, man. It does absolute big damage. Another thing that's worth mentioning, that as far as like the talk I was doing earlier about cooldown reduction and whatnot, and his nem shield, blah 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 blah. I don't know if he had Jotuns or not, but one thing I will say is part of the reason why my brutalize is on a low cooldown is because we rushed the Jotuns. We rushed the Jotuns, baby. We love Jotuns. All right, we're going Thorns again because once again, I don't really need anything else. Like, I don't really need a defensive relic. I don't really need sprint versus nemesis, which is like a pretty popular one because I'm more of an all-in character. I'm not really a kite and runaway character. And even if I were to kite, Fenrir can kind of do that with just his 1-3 and his ult. He doesn't need relics to help him do it, so. I'm actually going to wait a little bit to go on him because I want my jump cooldown to be closer. I think he's going to dash here, so we're going to brutalize right after him. Get clean by us. We wanted to ult him towards the tower because chances are, I mean, honestly, being near the tower doesn't even change anything, but chances are, you know, just from playing every single day, you kind of just learn like what people do more often than not, especially like the players that are, in my opinion, not the brightest, like Core W. I've played against this guy a bunch of times. And I just knew for a fact that if I ulted him near the tower, he would immediately panic and dash away, right? I knew he would try to dash. He would try to dash the thorns damage. He didn't want to take that, so we brutalize on top of him, which forces him to take it. One more reason why thorns is really, really strong on Fenrir. Dude, we brutalized this guy for 2,000. Now that's 15 ticks. Okay, yeah, it went down. Okay, so that seems more realistic. We brutalized him for so much damage, bro. Like, because I think what was showing there is that was not only one situation. I'm pretty sure that was 3 different ticks of brutalize. It still says 1,100. Now that it's down to 8, 1,100 damage from brutalize, man. An absolute insane ability, arguably broken. Actually, OP. Don't really know why he's chasing me here. He doesn't have beads, so I would love to ult him into my Phoenix if I could. I'm just gonna keep seeing if I can bait him. Yeah. I mean, that's just Core W for you right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's just Core W. Okay, well, that was a 9-minute game, so I guess we are doing the 4th game. I will see you guys in the... Actually, you know what? Well, never mind, because I don't want to show you guys what he says, because it might be some, like, TOS stuff. He says stuff in Spanish, and I don't know what it is half the time, but I'll let you guys know after. I'll translate it. I'll skip you guys into the next game. Thanks for watching. Alright, guys, we're off into the 4th and final game, and we actually got a lore matchup here, which is interesting. For those who don't know, which I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about the lore, because I don't. But what I do know is the bare minimum, which is that this character I'm playing, this Wolfie boy, hold on, this guy, bit that dude's hand off. That dude doesn't have one of his hands, and it's because of me. And of course, one thing I thought I'd mention is that I find interesting is a simple fact that for whatever reason, we're gonna do the early game build. For whatever reason, Hyris thought it would be a good idea to make it to where Fenrir actually kind of beats up on Tyr in game as well, just like he does in lore. And what I mean by that is Tyr essentially has, which, you know, he does have the ult, which takes him off the ground and can end brutalize, right? But Tyr has 2 like dashes, and Fenrir 3 is good against dashes. And the thing that's cool about Tyr's dashes is their knockbacks or knockups, whatever you want to call them, right? And Fenrir is immune to knockbacks and knockdowns. So it's like they kind of made Fenrir counter Tyr a little bit, or they made tier get countered by Fenrir, whichever one came out first. I don't remember. I think Fenrir came out first, but honestly, truthfully, I don't remember off the top of my head. So, bit of an interesting one. Now tier can be very annoying for Fenrir and Duel, like very annoying in the early game. Tier is one of those characters that is annoying for a lot of gods, but fortunately, I do think this matchup is heavily in our favor, especially as the game goes on, kind of thing. So we should be perfectly fine. Owie. I meant to hit him with like, I was supposed to hit him with an auto as he was backing out there, and he would have been like 1 HP. Would have looked a lot more clean, but whatever. He does have blink. We gotta keep that in mind here. He might end up blinking on us. Doesn't look like he is going to. But this start doesn't have very many potions, so we can't really fight too hard in the early game. He does have more potions than us, health potions, and he has a mana buff, which is going to sustain him as well, right? So we do have to keep that in mind. Okay, so we did end up getting this buff. I feel like he went on this like super late. We want to drag him away from the wall. 65 mana, 65 mana. Oh! I don't know why he didn't try to ult out there. It's super weird. I don't know, dude. I don't understand duel players anymore. Like, they kind of just run it down and then F6 when their plan doesn't work in their favor. They're like, I'm going to do this really stupid thing, and then, oh, it didn't work. Okay, I'm going to F6 and try again. Like, that's what I've noticed is, like, the reoccurring theme from duel players, and even Smite players in general, is they don't really learn from their mistakes. At least, like, that's my assumption, right? Like, that's what I think is happening. They don't really learn from their mistakes. They kind of just chalk it up to being the game's fault, or someone cheated, or lag, or what, you know, one way or another. They just kind of blame it on the game, and then move on and try to do the exact same thing, or a similar thing, in the same fashion, and then once it doesn't work again, they just do it again. It's like, it's this never-ending cycle of, like, it's never my fault, you never take accountability, and you never learn and never improve as a player. Alright, so he's gonna secure the scepter here. Get on him. He could just ult. Alright, so Fenrir 3 is a little bit of a scam, I'll be honest, because right there, like, I put on Instacast so you can't see it, but Fenrir 3 doesn't actually go that far, but it does, like, clip onto targets. So long story short, what I'm saying is, like, it's a very forgiving ability. You can land it pretty easily from a very big distance. Matter of fact, I'm kind of curious, how far does it go? Yeah, like, this is not very far, but you can kind of, like, clip people with it and hit them from super far away, which is kind of what happened there. He got scammed a little bit, but goes how it goes. I am Fenrir. Once I have my brutalized max, which we're almost there, to be fair, but once I have my brutalized max, it just eats him. Like, even right there, look at that. 500 damage from brutalize, and he can't stop it either. The only thing he can do is ult it. And you're going in the tower, bucko. Duel players, man. When will they ever learn? Which I find interesting too, because there's a lot of people who, like, watch my videos and they watch them to learn. And, like, I just think it's interesting that, like, there are people out there that are, like, low ranked players, not that great, right? But they, you know, aspire to be great, and they aspire to be better players, and they're willing to learn. But most of the people I see in these duel queues, I mean, I'm not specifically just talking about this guy, I'm speaking about duel in general, right? Most of the people I see in the duel queues, it doesn't really seem like they ever learn anything. Like, I play them once, they do something dumb, I play them 3 weeks later, they play the same character, do the same dumb thing, you know what I mean? Like, so it's interesting to me that, like, I almost feel like the people watching my videos, like, I almost never see them, which, granted, you know, not to say my videos have that big of an outreach. They don't, like, not that many people watch them, of course, but still, it's like, I would just be interested to see more of, like, my viewers in the duel scene, and, like, see how they're improving / learning, and see how they're applying certain things that I teach you guys to the game. Because I have seen it before, and it makes me proud. I see, like, some people that comment on my videos and stuff, I see them go against, like, Captain Twig, and, you know, they lose, but, like, they put up a good fight, and they're implementing builds and strategies that I teach them, and it makes me proud, to say the least. Yeah. My archers killed him, dude. I'm pretty sure that was archers, had to have been. Because I don't have a scepter or anything like that. I don't even know if the scepter can kill you, actually. I think it does, like, super low damage when you're low HP. So this should just be a surrender, right? Surely?
Okay.
Any surrenderers? Question mark? Oh, he's gonna go for one last fight and then surrender. I bet you that's what happens here. Watch this. I bet you that's what happens here. Could I really not fit through that rock? Like, like I actually couldn't like walk through that. What the heck? Alright. Bit of a pub stompy last game, but goes how it goes. Like I said earlier, I will show you guys the different build paths you can take. Obviously not all of them because there's way too many items in this game. I'm just going to show you guys some of my favorite build paths and options and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm yawning. I apologize if I made you guys yawn. I'm getting a little bit sleepy here. Oh wait, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I wanted to first show you guys. Again, I'm not skipping out on any games. I'm not like not showing you guys losses or, you know, trying to get these super easy people to go against and stuff like that. I just played 4 Fenrir games and this is the result, you know, like we just played 4 Fenrir games. This is just what the duel community is like these days. Goes how it goes. I explain that in pretty much every video these days. Regardless, I try my best to teach and try to give you guys my thought process along the way, and hopefully you guys can get better, even regardless of, you know, the duel community not being so good. Why can I not find Fenrir? I mean, part of it's because I'm talking. Dude, am I like actually just blind right now? Like, what the heck? Anyways, of course you can go Transcendence build path. I'm not really gonna put it up here as a big recommendation. I'll put it here as like an honorable mention of a start. You can go Transcendence. It's really forgiving in the sense of it gives you a ton of mana, but it does slow down your early game. You don't really get cooldown. Not only is it less damage than Jotun's start, it's more expensive, and also doesn't give you any cooldown, which Jotun's does more damage and gives you cooldown, and cooldown inherently is damage because it allows you to brutalize more often and one more often. And like I just showed you guys earlier, his 1 and his 3 scale up by a ton of damage. So the more times you can cast that in the fight, the better. As per usual, I'm gonna actually tab out here so I can mute my Smite so you guys don't have to hear Fenrir keep roaring in the background, right? But so yeah, what I would recommend in almost every game, of course you can go the Transcendence. I ended up starting this video with a Transcendence. It's fine. It's just not what I would think. What I think is the build you guys should be going. I think you should start Jotun's with 1 HP pot. Just keep in mind you don't have much sustain, so you really want to just try to get an early kill or try to get an early buff as soon as possible. Now, whether that's because they gave it up and allowed you to have the buff, or what the case may be, like early game, you can try to jump on them in the minion wave and force them out and then go for the red immediately or go for the blue immediately, right? In a perfect world, they just give you the buff, but you know, it is what it is. Regardless of how the start goes, it's really cheap. You only need 750 gold to get your next item, and you're only buying 1 potion. So pretty fast way to get that online. Second item, I like to go Berserker Shield pretty much every game, as you guys saw. Honorable mentions down here. You can go Shoguns against Magicals. That's what I would go most of the time. You can also go Genjis. Genjis is really good against certain mages, I would say. Honestly, I prefer to go Shoguns because Shoguns helps you way more with the PvE, you know, Titan damage, buff clear, Bull Demon, stuff like that, right? Here, I'm going to take a drink really quickly. Yeah, I just prefer the Shoguns because 40% attack speed is a lot. And for those who don't know, it is 40% attack speed because it's the 30% aura and 10% on the actual item itself. I just prefer Shoguns a lot more than Genjis these days. But Genjis is a really good item, especially because on Fenrir, because you jump in, you use your Brutalize immediately, you can get a Genjis reset. You don't always get it on the Brutalize, right? But if they hit you, you can at the very least get a Genjis proc, which lowers the cooldown on your jump, which is very, very good. Being able to jump out or jump again towards them to kill them, right? So there's these honorable mention Breastplate. You can go Breastplate. and you would have full cooldown to start the game immediately, and that would give you a big solution to your mana in the early game. But I wouldn't really go Hydras with this because you're going to overcap, and I feel like you just have better items. So for me personally, what I like to do is I like to just go Berserker Shield Hydras. Hydras helps you a lot with your mana, and you're playing an all-in character. This character doesn't poke a lot. He's an all-in character. So I don't really think the mana issues are a big problem. I actually like Berserker Shield a lot because Fenrir, when you pop your 2, he actually does like to box. Pop your 2 with the Berserker Shield passive, you can get a ton of healing off, you can get a ton of damage off, especially against Bull Demon and stuff like that. Again, just like the Genjis, the breastplate's it doesn't have any attack speed, it doesn't have any HP 5. It's not really going to help you that much with the Bull Demon stuff. It's going to give you more abilities, but I mean, if you get more abilities, that just means you're going to get your second brutalize, your second jump off on the Bull Demon even faster, which means they're more likely to actually be on cooldown, oddly enough, when they come around. So I just prefer to use my abilities initially and then have the Berserker Shield auto attack it down, right? That's what I prefer, but honorable mention breastplate, you can do it if you want. It's entirely up to you. It is an optional thing. Like, you definitely can do it and it can work, but I prefer the Berserker Shield. And then right here, I almost always go the same item. Serrated is just too good. Well, if I could find it. Serrated gives you extra lifesteal, especially when you're popping your 2, and when all your abilities are down, which you pop all of your abilities immediately, you jump in, you brutalize you 2, all of your abilities are on cooldown, you get a ton of extra power, a ton of extra lifesteal, and you pop your 2 and you stand your ground and you beat on them, right? A lot of people like to go Aussie on Fenrir. Serrated's just better in every single way, pretty much every single way. So this build so far has 30% cooldown, decent mana, decent attack speed, 30% penetration, very good build. Overall, you could build pretty much anything here. I like to go into crit immediately. Now, which crit item you go is kind of matchup dependent. You always go Deathbringer on Fenrir, but which one you go first depends. Boomerang is a lot cheaper, and it gives you attack speed, and that's another reason why we like the Berserker Shield, because more attack speed equals more crits, right? You could go Boomerang 5th. There's nothing wrong with it. It depends on the matchup. If you're against a character like, I mean, it's not always the matchup. Sometimes it's the player as well. If you're in a situation where they are boxing you, you are oftentimes auto-trading with your opponent and whacking each other to death, you go the Boomerang. If you're in a situation where they're never fighting you and always running away, or it's just like a mage that they're fighting you, but they're also running away because that's kind of just the playstyle of a mage. You want to do more burst damage. You want to kind of match their burst and kill them quickly because it's harder to stick onto people like that kite you. Now, Fenrir can stick onto them, but it's with his abilities. He's not really auto attack sticking to them, right? So again, it's matchup dependent. If you're against a character who is constantly running and you need big burst, you go Deathbringer. In fact, you go this glyph. You could go the other glyph too, but I would not recommend it. It's entirely up to you. I just prefer to get more crit chance. It's just better. You don't need a cooldown reduction. By the time you get like 3 or 4 crits, which is the crits you're going to need to actually get efficient cooldown resets off the Malicious Deathbringer, by the time you do that, they should just be dead anyways, unless they're like triple defense with Spectral, right? So worth mentioning. But right here, I don't think there is a correct answer. Aside from the fact that Boomerang is just incredibly cheap, you can always just go Deathbringer without the glyph. You don't have to rush the glyph. Keep that in mind. This price is skewed by the glyph. It's 2,900. But sometimes you just want to go Boomerang over Deathbringer because you're snowballing and you're trying to end the game immediately, and it's just cheaper, right? But generally speaking, if it's gold is not an issue, it just depends on the matchup. How many autos are you getting off? That's what you got to ask yourself. How many auto attacks per fight are you getting off? If it's not that many, you go Deathbringer. If it's a lot, then you go Boomerang. Pretty much that simple. Some honorable mentions that I personally would almost never build. I cannot stress that enough. Almost never build them. But I'll put them on here because I know some of you guys are crit haters. By the way, just to be clear, if they go Spectral, this build is still good. The build is still good, guys. If they go Spectral, you can still go this build. But for the people who don't believe, Dominance, honorable mention. I'm going to take the Transcendence off here. Although you could go a late Transcendence. That is an option. You always could go late game Transcendence. Keep that in mind. But Dominance, honorable mention against like these super beefy targets that are going Spectral armor. Because that's honestly what I'm building for here for you guys. Is the people who are afraid of Spectral armor for whatever reason and don't think crit is good into it. You can go, actually wait. Honorable mentions, I would say against the spectral armor in general, I would say you're going to want green XE. Dominance is, or green XE Kins probably. Kins, Dominance. These are auto attack items. You'll notice most of these items are just auto attack items. You can go Erendite on him if you're against a stealth character, or you just really need extra help chasing them down, although I wouldn't recommend it. You shouldn't need that. And then there's a couple of ability-based items that are pretty darn good on Fenrir as well. You'll notice that my initial build here doesn't have any anti-heal, because I don't think you need it. Your goal is to kind of like one-shot people. That's what I do, and it always works out for me just fine. But I mean, if you don't like crit that much, or say you're not getting that many autos off or whatever, you just want the Deathbringer and a Brawlers for anti-heal, you could do that. You can go Deathbringer, Heartseeker, right? But again, if you're just a non-crit believer, then you can go Executioner, you can go Kins, you can go Dominance, whatever you want. Again, I may sound a little bit unenthusiastic about these last items, and that's because I am. I truly just believe that these first 6 items, with the exception of you swap out Berserker Shield for Shoguns, or Genjis, if that's what you prefer, if you're against the magical. But I just think this build is just so much better than all the rest of them. I think it dominates it by a lot, and I would heavily recommend it to you guys. One last thing that I don't always bring up in these videos, but I'm going to this time, for relics, your choice is almost always going to be horrific beads or horrific thorns, or beads thorns, one of those 3. You don't really need anything else. Cooldown med is fun. Shell got gutted. Sunder's just bad. Sprint, don't need it on Fenrir. Blink, don't need it on Fenrir, etc. Right? All those Scorching Blink ulting people is pretty fun. I will say that. But yeah, if you need beads against the target, like they have heavy CC, or you just want to get your Brutalize fully off, then you go for it. If you don't need beads, you just go Horrific Thorns and pop them when you jump in and start owning them, right? Pretty simple, pretty simple. I hope you guys did enjoy watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.